this is Ralphie Main. You got more Michael Berry Show coming right around the corner, player.
Texas Monthly this month, a liberal magazine that serves the effete white liberal community in Texas that desperately believes that one day it'll go blue and all will be well, had an interview with Ron Paul. And I read it on the flight out to Destin on Thursday morning. And it just shocked me how right he is on so many issues. And I realized why it is so important for the Republican Party to dismiss him, because most of what he says is a dagger to the heart of the Republican Party. He made this point that when we go picking wars in foreign countries, when we go picking, we are asking for long-term problems. And he's right. So what do they do with that comment? Well, very cleverly, when he says that, they say, oh, so we got what was coming to us on 9/11. So it makes people who love our soldiers and who love our country but don't listen carefully. They never knew what Ron Paul said in the first place. But Ron Paul's the guy out there claiming we got what we deserve. Ron Paul's point, which I think is rather prescient, is we should be careful lest we interfere in the civil affairs of other countries. We should have a clear entrance strategy, a clear exit strategy. There should be a clear benefit to our nation that far outweighs the problems that we cause. I don't think anyone doubts that Al-Qaeda, the Muslim Brotherhood, and other interests recruit on the basis of American involvement in other countries. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be involved, but there is no doubt that that is the basis of their recruitment, our involvement. Every time we drop a bomb, every time we send in a soldier, we are poking people in the eye. And I'm okay with that. When there is a clear strategic long-term advantage that outweighs the problems that we are causing by breeding hatred of our nation that manifests itself in the form of bombing us, killing us, terrorizing us. And Ron Paul's point I thought was quite good. This nation was not formed on the basis of an interventionist foreign policy. In fact, it was British intervention in the colonies that led us to independence. It was not the original intention of the colonists to be an independent nation. It was on this day in 1783, by the way, that the Treaty of Paris was signed between France, France, Great Britain, America, and I believe it's Spain, ending the war for independence. It is a bad thing when we poke our nose into the internal affairs of other nations without a strategic benefit to our country. It's a bad thing. And you cannot do it with impunity. You cannot simply disrupt another regime without expecting some repercussions. We can wipe Syria off the map, but we're not going to do that. So before we invade, before we engage, I think the American people need to support such efforts, because there is no imminent danger to the United States by what's happening in Syria. And the fact that a few rich Syrians gather across from the Galleria in Houston with $400 Gucci bags in front of place that they bought on Hillcroft for $40, across from the Galleria, the richest shopping mall in Houston, with signs that say, "My cousin's being killed," with all due respect, somebody's cousin's being killed somewhere in the world every minute of the day. I'm not willing to send some redneck from southern Alabama who loves this country, graduated high school, wasn't sure what he was going to do, signed up to serve. I'm not sending him off to get killed for your cousin. You want your cousin protected? You get your butt back on a plane and go back over there and fight him yourself. It's your country, not mine. And I'm not willing to sacrifice our boys for your country. The problem is, you shouldn't be in this country. You should be in Syria fighting for that country if that's what you're worried about. You see, the problem is, we've allowed all these supposed refugees, who are not, to come to this country and gain asylum. And when you do that, you are wiping out the opposition to those bad administrations. If we'd stop allowing all the illegals to come from Mexico into this country, maybe there would be a revolution and they'd fix the country. But before we go, as great a nation as we are, every time we flex our muscles and attack another country, and that's what we're talking about here, we need to consider the long-term effects to our country. And I'll tell you what's going to happen next, and I oppose this too. We're going to take every one of these people who claim to be in opposition to Assad, and we're going to make them refugees here. And we're going to foist them on Orange, Texas, or Beaumont, Texas. We're going to foist them on small-town Alabama, small-town Oregon. And we're going to hand them a bunch of money. And we're going to foist them on local communities and say, here, take care of them. They're refugees. You know, we got refugees here. We got people under attack by our government because of who they are, being persecuted for who they are in our own country. They're called Christians. They're called the Tea Party. Why don't we give them a break every so often? I did not with enough time go to the calls, and I will. As much of a distraction as Syria is, it's a great opportunity, particularly for the Republican Party. It's a great opportunity for those of us. I'm not advocating isolationism. I am advocating better foreign policies, fewer engagements, not extending our soldiers so far, and not putting our soldiers in an environment where they cannot win, which has been our strategy since Vietnam, and I'm done with it.